I want you to just look at this inventory sitting on this dealer lot here. And you can see it just stacked absolutely everywhere. Let go forward. You see cars parked in front of other cars. Let me show you this right here. See all of that level right there? F-150s stacked up everywhere. But what I wanted to do is I want to talk a little bit about price points and why this is going on. And actually, we can lead with this one right here. What is this? This is a big body Bronco. We know that Ford has cut a lot of the production going to these Broncos because a dealership like this, at this particular dealership, there were about 50 of these things sitting there. So one thing that I wanted to do, we talk about this a little bit, but I wanted to pull up some price points of some of these Broncos, some of these F-150s, and then we can show that across from like a Maverick. And we've actually been hooked up in this episode to show what dealers are actually paying for these cars and show you the difference of why they would rather have a bunch of these Broncos sitting around this lot versus maybe a Maverick. But while I search for this, maybe you can touch on really affordability challenges and specifically leaning into Ford and like a dealership like Stellantis, why things are going wrong for them with their inventory levels right now.
They all forget that every vehicle has a cycle. And what I mean by that is they can start out hot. I mean, when they first announced the Maverick, it was going to be $25,000. Everybody and their brother was signing up for one. When they first announced the Lightning, instantly they had 150,000 reservations. Of course, they haven't sold 150,000 since they started them, but you know, every life cycle starts out, it goes from it's hot to it's not. And right now, for instance, on the Bronco, it went from it's hot and then it reached a tipping point like not that long ago to it's hot to, oh my God, it's definitely not. Oh my God, they're stacking up. They're breeding in the back, ladies and gentlemen. We don't even have to wait for Ford to send them. I mean, it's just gone crazy through that cycle. And sometimes the cycle of it's hot before it becomes it's not is shorter than the manufacturer would like it to be, and definitely shorter than the dealer would like it to be.
All right, well, let me show you this. Let's look at a few of these Broncos here. So this is a Bronco Big Ben. MSRP is $46,290. But what's interesting is that even online advertising, we're seeing that a lot of these dealerships are even rolling back some of their prices. This is something that we haven't seen since 2019 because dealers did not have to advertise lower than MSRP. But I wanted to show you where the MSRP is, 46, and that's usually where you're going to see most of these dealers trying to sell these Broncos at. This one right here, which is a really good sign, but they're lowering the prices. But I want to come over here and actually, Zach from Car Edge, you probably know who that is, has hooked us up with showing you invoice pricing. So we just saw, let's go back and see what level trim that was. The Big Bend, which is going to be, your lowest level trim here. And that one, it's showing that the MSRP is 46. So they probably have some add-ons on this one. But it comes out at 42.9, and you're going to have your destination fee that's not baked into this also. But Car Edge lists that this MSRP is this right here. And the invoice price, this is what that dealership would have paid for that Bronco. So go back to it on their discounted price right at 43 grand. They're going to end up making what, $3,500 on that Bronco?
Well, no. And here's
that's why I wanted to talk through this. If you want to see invoice pricing on any vehicle that you want to check on, I'm going to put a link down in the description below. Car Edge has given us this ability to allow you to pull it up for free. You don't have to pay anything for it. Go to that link. If you're looking for a car, you want to know what a dealer actually pays for it, you can follow that link, fill out the information on the car that you want to look at, and it'll send you right to it. So check it out down below. But Ray, okay, let's talk about how these dealers make money and how much they're making on this car that they paid $38,640 for.
Well, they paid $38,640 on it. If it was a $39,630 base MSRP Bronco. Now, this Bronco that has an MSRP of 46,000 something actually must have some additional um, items on it. That could have another package. It could have I don't know what the hell they add to the Broncos, but the base invoice on the base price Bronco has, when you look at it, has $990 gross profit built into it. Okay, but you can keep going up by trim level to see how the MSRP goes up and then how that impacts the invoice price. So when you look at it, you need to pull, and I believe, don't quote me on this, it's only my son's company, but I believe if you pull a specific vehicle, it will pull that specific invoice, so that you can know what the invoice price of that particular vehicle was, as opposed to what just the base invoice price is for a base vehicle. So, and then
Yeah,
that
and
doesn't.
what the reason why I wanted to pull it up this way is because I wanted to see all the different levels because you
Oh my
see how
God!
many different packages. I mean, look at the Raptor. Like Raptor, so says $90,000 right here,
Yes,
and you're not going to find a Bronco Raptor with the MSRP of $90,000 sitting on any dealership because they're going to have some kind of package that's put into this. They're going to have some kind of add-on from the factory that's going to make that price go up. I think the cheapest one I've ever seen is like $93,000. But just to show you on a $90,000 Bronco, if they of that Raptor, if they get that build out, then they're roughly only making $3,000 on something like that. But that's when all your extra stuff is going to come into play, right? Because a dealer
yes.
on a $90,000 vehicle is not only wanting to make $3,000 on it.
No, and you have to realize that that's the invoice amount. That doesn't include the 2.5 or 3% that the dealer gets in holdback.
Yeah.
It doesn't include the money they get for floor plan assistance. It doesn't include the money they get for marketing assistance. So, yes,
What do numbers? So you've worked at a dealership and been able to see some of these numbers. What do I know it's going to vary by dealership and by size and by how many vehicles you're taking, but what do these packages look like when not packages, but what do these what does this assistance help with look like as far as dollar amounts? Can you ballpark any of that?
well, if let's say it's 3% of MSRP, of base MSRP for holdback. So if it's $90,000 Raptor, what's 3% of that?
I mean,
Another
like
9.
yeah, $2,700 somewhere in there.
Okay. So there's the holdback. Floor plan assistance might be another point and a half. Marketing assistance might be a point. So, all of a sudden, what looks like 3,000 becomes 5,000 with all the money that's available, or 6,000. Now, the floor plan assistance, if you sell it before you start having to pay for floor plan, that floor plan assistance just becomes profit. If the marketing assistance, if you never spend any money to market the vehicle, just becomes profit. But Ford understands you're going to have to spend money to advertise. And the holdback is just what's known as below the line money. What has happened over the course of time, and you could blame the internet or whoever, is that everything has pretty much become public. Everybody knows what you paid for it. So the dealers, to combat that, got with the manufacturers and said, okay, if the public's going to know we paid X, well, there's got to be Y and Z that you're paying us that the public doesn't know about. And that's what we refer to as bottom line money, below the line money. So that the holdback, the floor plan assistance, the marketing assistance, hell on a Honda or Acura, the gas assistance that you get because they pay you to put a full tank of gas in the vehicle. Um, that all adds up. I mean, that can be lots and lots of money. So when you see that Ford, the profit margin built in on most Ford products might be somewhere between 6 and 7% from invoice to MSRP before the dealer gets the below the line money, well, the below the line money might add up to another 5%. So they're really working on a 10 or 11% profit margin total, as opposed to that 6 to 7% profit margin that's reflected on the invoice. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, that's a lot of money that's working in the background for a lot of these dealers to make a lot more than what it looks like on the surface.
Well, and,
Um,
and, and then you have then you can have sales objectives from the manufacturers. That if you hit your sales objectives, there's more money that the manufacturer might give you.
all right, so all of you watching it here, I know most of you are not subscribed, so I need you to hit that subscribe button. Whatever we need to do to get you to hit that subscribe button, Ray will do it. So just hit it for us and let us know what he needs to do down in the comments to get you to subscribe.
For instance, when I was with the Audi dealership, and I used to ask my factory rep, okay, what is the average gross profit by model line in our area so that I can be competitive? Well, for instance, on the Q3, and this is 7 years ago, on the Q3, the average gross profit on a Q3, the transaction price was $1,000 below invoice. So whatever invoice was, dealers were selling them for $1,000 less than that. Why? Well, because there was a little bit of holdback, and then if you hit your sales number from Audi, that's where you'd earn all the money back. As my factory rep explained to me, we don't expect your retail customer to pay you the profit that you're going to make on the vehicle. That profit will come to us because you've priced the vehicle below what your cost was, and we'll make that up and more when you hit your sales objective.
Yeah, so let's compare that, and I'm going to hit a few vehicles throughout this video. I want to go to Jeep later on too, specifically the Wagoneer. We'll tease you for that one because that one's going to be interesting to see.
Yes.
But Ford Maverick. So we can do the comparison with Bronco. That a lot of these dealers they have a lot of them. They ordered a lot. They were
Yeah.
selling a lot of them, and now the spigot has been turned off. But Ford Maverick is something that has continued to be hot. Dealers have been able to sell it.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's the reason why, right? A truck for $28,000. You can argue whether or not it's a truck or not. Look, it's got four doors, it's got a bed in the back, and you
Looks like
can,
a truck.
yeah, it looks like a truck, acts like a truck. I mean, you're not going to tow anything with it, but you can put some flowers in the back of it.
Yeah.
It's a truck. So I guess in that capacity, we could argue that El Camino was also a truck.
Yeah.
But look, $28,000, $30,000. I want to pop over here. That's an XLT, but you can see why. Okay, dealers, even if they had the capacity to be able to order as many of these Mavericks as possible, they would much rather sell probably one F-150 versus a couple of these Mavericks.
Yeah.
And I can tell you the manufacturer definitely would, because when they're getting to this spread of what's that, $700, $600,
Yes.
versus you look at that Bronco we just pulled up and the spread was $3,000
Yes.
just on entry level, with not even talking about any of the behind the scenes money that Ray was just showing you. Yeah, these dealerships, these manufacturers, they want to sell you a $90,000 vehicle. They don't want to sell you a $28,000 truck.
Yeah. They're going to complain that they're not making enough money building a $28,000 truck. The dealer is going to complain that they're not making enough money selling a $28,000 truck. The only ones who won't be complaining about that $28,000 truck are the people that are buying them, that are going, I am so thankful I could get my hands on a $28,000 pickup truck. So I get where the manufacturers are coming from, and I get where the dealers are coming from. But what they don't get is where their customers are coming from and what it is that their customers would like. It just, I keep going back to it, but it just seems to me that at a certain point, you might want to ask your customers what it is that they want you to build, as opposed to you telling your customers what it is that they think they want you to build. The manufacturer shouldn't be dictating to the customer. The customer should be dictating to the manufacturer. This is what we need you to build. Figure out how to do it profitably.
Yeah, I agree. A good example of that, and I was literally pulling it up while you were talking about this. I'm trying to find a price point on it, but is the Jeep Gladiator. So
Okay.
we know that Jeep has had a massive, massive problem with these Gladiators, and for whatever reason, the Google machine is not wanting to pull up. So I can talk about this way. I know what the
Okay.
price point is on a Jeep Gladiator Sport, and right now it's $43,000 is the MSRP on that Jeep Gladiator Sport. And we know that that's the 2024 version. But here's the
Yes.
problem: 2025, they're coming out with the Jeep Gladiator Sport, and the MSRP they've lowered by $3,000. So Stellantis has figured out, okay, well, this Jeep Gladiator, much like me at my small used car dealership, when we're not getting any attention on a vehicle, well, we got to lower the freaking price. So
Yes.
they're coming out with the newer model of this Jeep Gladiator, and it's going to be $3,000 cheaper than the current one that's sitting on all these dealership lots. What, in your mind, Ray, if you are sitting there and you are a CDJR franchise manager right now, and you get this news and you've got 26 Jeep Gladiator 2024 sports sitting on your dealership lot, and it's coming close to the end of the year, and you know you got 2025s coming in, what are you doing right now?
Well, first, I'm begging the manufacturer, I don't know, give me $5,000 per unit sold. Okay. Put a $5,000 incentive on it, whether it be a customer incentive so that it's suddenly going to be $2,000 cheaper than a comparable 2025 and we can sell them. Um, or give a dealer incentive so that the dealer can afford to discount it four, five, $6,000 and work on a smaller percentage. But yeah, and if the manufacturer is not doing anything to help, then as a dealer, you got to do whatever you need to do to move them because these aren't going to go up in value when the 2025s come out, and they're already $3,000 less expensive. So it's a ticking time bomb.
So explain this to me, because whenever I go and look at these sports, and
Yes.
when I read the information about these sports, the MSRPs are always at that $43,000 range. Is it just that the destination fees aren't added, the different packages aren't added, things like that?
You might be looking at a Sport S, but then there's additional packages from the manufacturer that you can add to that vehicle that add to the MSRP and obviously add to the invoice cost. So there's various and assorted packages within each model line with the Sport S, the Willys, the Rubicon. So every one of those has additional packages that can be added to the vehicle at the factory when it's being built, which will impact both the MSRP and the invoice of those vehicles.
So I'm seeing these invoice price differences versus these MSRPs on these Gladiators, and I got to tell you, these Jeep Dodge Ram dealerships, I bet they don't want these Gladiators. Yeah, that man, they've got to be making so much more money on like a Jeep Grand Cherokee, a Wagoneer. It's not even close. It seems like if they get more of these Gladiator sports in on a truck, it's like they almost vomit in their mouth. And so too, if you want to check out an invoice price on whatever vehicle that you're looking at, check the link down in the description or in the chat, and you'll be able to do that. Just use that link. It's free to try. But what do they have to do with these because they're going to have the 2025s and the 2024s sitting next to each other. So what happens when a customer walks in and you're the franchise manager right there, and you've got your salesperson right beside you, you got your arm around young Chuck, and he's about to head out there and go talk to this customer that's looking at both of these vehicles. What are you saying to Chuck to figure out how to get them into whichever one that you want them to get into?
Chuck, if they're looking for a deal, okay, then they're looking at the 24. It's just that simple. You know why, Chuck? Because I got a year to get rid of that 25. And right now I got no time left to get rid of the 24. So if they want a deal, and the deal might be whatever the incentive is from Stellantis at the moment, plus whatever additional discount we as the dealership might give them, then we can save them a lot of money on a 2024. If they're looking for huge savings or savings of any kind on the 2025, tell them to come back in a year when I'm desperate to get rid of those. And by the way, Chuck, regardless of what I just said, don't let them walk.
Yeah, whatever. You know what? If they want the 2025 for the 2024 discount, we're going to give them that too. It doesn't matter at this point. They got to move cars. This is the last one that I wanted to look at, but this is the interesting one to me. The wagon is. Do you need the MSRP showing is $110,000, $109,000, and they're already discounting this thing. What's that? $16,000, and that's advertised. So whenever you were running your advertisements or whatever, and you were advertising something for $5,000 or off, whatever, how much would you actually lower that price lower than what the advertised price was? Because if they're doing this, they're already at the desperation point.
Well, you leave yourself a little wiggle room, but not a lot. You know, there's sales speak. So when the customer comes in and says, "Well, I saw it was advertised $5,000 off. How much more can you do?" Right. The salesperson is instructed to respond, "Well, do you really think it's in our best interest to advertise our second best price? We advertise our best price to get you here. Okay, it doesn't do us any good to advertise our second best price. You're not showing up for that. You're showing up because it's a really good price." So in sales speak, that's how you try to handle that. You know, you're here because the advertised price is very compelling, and it's not our second best price; it's our best price. And then you try and take it from there. But you know, there's only so much wiggle room you can have.
So this one right here, let's look at it again. It's a 2024. It's a Grand Wagoneer Series 2.
Yes.
So let's pop over here and look at the invoice pricing on this Series 2. $97,000. That doesn't really compute when the advertised price now is $93,000 on this thing. Well, are they're just trying to get rid of this thing at this point?
How much money do you think that on the 2024 for as part of that $16,000 discount is coming from Stellantis? Is it 15% off? Is it 18% off that's coming from Stellantis? Is it 20% off that's coming from Stellantis? I mean, that's where the bulk of that's going to come from, is from the manufacturer. And you know, the below the line money on these Grand Wagoneers is going to be huge. I mean, there's probably $7 or $8 grand in below the line money on those Wagoneers, on those Grand Wagoneers.
So on this Grand Wagoneer, when they're marking it down to, let's say that it's this exact trim package, whatever, exact accessories and everything. So they've got $97,000 in this thing, and they're selling it for 93 grand. that dealership is still going to make money if they sell it at that $93,000 range, because they're going to have what, $6,000 or $7,000 built into just behind the scenes money that the manufacturer is going to be allowing them to sell
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Yeah, the problem is this dealership's probably had this thing for a year and a half. So how much of that is going to be eaten up in the floor plan that they've already paid on it too?
Quite a bit. Quite a
Yeah.
but the idea that instantly there's 15% off from the manufacturer, well, that allows the dealer, puts the dealer in a position on that type of vehicle to advertise $16,000 off, and they're still making money. And let's face it, the whole reason they're in business, if I don't want to be so bold as to suggest this, but the whole reason they're in business is to make money. I mean, nobody spends 10, 12, 15 million dollars to build a facility and then stock it with another $10 million worth of inventory so that they can turn around and lose money on every last item that they sell. I mean, that's not the rationale that goes into this. The rationale is that somebody's making this investment with the idea that they're going to be profitable. So, listen, I don't like the way many dealerships operate. You know that. But they're still entitled, if they do things above board and properly, they're entitled to make a profit. And to think that they're not is kind of crazy. I mean, I used to have customers who they'd always tell me, "Well, you don't have to make money off of me." Well, you don't have to make money off. I go, do you have any idea how many people tell me that? Every last customer that comes in here tells me I don't have to make money off of them. Well, there's some poor schnook at the end of the year. I'm going to have to charge him $16 million for a $30,000 car because nobody wanted to pay a profit. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, if you come in and you think that when you're going to a dealership and you see that massive, massive building, you see the very glossy floors, you ever been to a dealership bathroom? It's the nicest bathroom you will ever be in.
Yes.
That money is not all coming from the manufacturer. I can promise you.
No.
All right, so just so you guys know, if you want to see invoice pricing, it's an easy, cool link to use down in the description below. Doesn't cost you a dime. You put in the car, pop it up. You'll see exactly what the dealer pays for the car, and then you can use that to negotiate against them. It's not going to work, but you can use it anyway. Who cares?
It's a tool. It's another tool in your toolbox.
It's another tool in your toolbox.
Yes. If the dealer has tools in his toolbox, damn it, you can't go into the dealership without your own toolbox. And the place to get that toolbox, caredge.com.
Boom.